To listen ad-free, visit zinspod.co/subscribe. Starting at $2.99 a month, you'll also get access to our exclusive bonus content episodes when you join through Patreon or Apple subscriptions. Thanks for supporting the show.
Hello, and welcome to our non-subscriber bonus episode.
Hey, everyone.
Hello. So we wanted to take a moment and drop a bonus episode for our subscribers and talk to you a little bit about the True Crime and Paranormal Festival that we went to, I'm going to say last weekend. Was it last weekend? No, the weekend before?
Oh, gosh. Yes.
July.
Last weekend.
It was July 14th?
Yes.
13th, 14th in Denver.
Yes.
And we're going to talk a little bit about the experience. It was
Yes.
our first time doing a podcast festival as podcasters.
And this is not just for our subscribers. I want to say that.
Right. This is not just, did I say that?
You did. You said it again.
I said it again?
Yeah.
Oh my God. This is why we are scripted.
Yes, we wanted to do a bonus episode, not just for our subscribers, but for everyone, because we came home so jazzed after the festival, and we were just talking about it again today. And
I'm still jazzed.
I know. And John was like, hey, maybe we should just record so we can kind of get it all out there and promote the fact that Boston TCPF 2025 will be here before we know it.
Buy your tickets now. They're selling fast.
They are selling fast.
We say that because we bought them already.
Yes,
so they are
did.
selling fast.
It's going to be July 18th through the 20th in Boston.
In Boston.
On the, which shore? You told me.
North Shore. I think it's North Shore. No, I don't even know. I think it's North Shore. I am from Boston. Have I said that before?
John is from Boston.
Yeah. So I'm excited.
You're just tuning in.
Yeah. If you've never joined us before, you're probably very confused. You're like, this podcast is not well named. We will not be covering a case right now. This is just a bonus.
Won't be. I mean, I guess we'll be talking about, we might be talking a little bit about a bunch of cases because we did hear a lot from so many wonderful people, so many passionate creators who are out there advocating for victims, advocating for families, trying to change the true crime landscape. And we were just so excited to be a part of it. And
it was amazing.
It was so incredible.
So many great people. So why don't you tell the people out in the world, in podcast land, about your panel? Because
yes,
Sean was on a panel.
I was on a panel. Lainey Hobbs, who is one of the masterminds behind the whole TCPF.
Lisa being the other one.
Lisa being the other. And I'm sure there was so many folks that worked so hard to bring this all together. But I got to reach out to Lainey. I got to see if I know that the panel was live streamed. So I'm hoping that there is a recording of it somewhere. I'm hoping, because we'd love to share that audio with you, because it was such an incredible experience. We had some of the most amazing podcasters in the business. We had...
Who was there? Tell the people.
Haley Gray, who is a podcast researcher, and she has her own podcast researching course that you can take called...
TCPT.
Yeah, I know, TCPT.
True Crime Podcast Training.
Yes, the True Crime Podcast Training. And it was... Actually, I've talked about the course before, I believe, on the podcast. It was incredible. We learned so much from being a part of it. So we had Haley Gray. We also had the team behind Navigating Advocacy.
They were amazing.
Whitney and Melissa. Whitney and Melissa do so much for families. They go on searches. They do, I think they call them honkin' waves, where they stand on the corner with signs and just try and support families. They're just out there doing so much good work and helping so many people. And again, they're super smart, working so hard to make sure that true crime content continues to improve. So we had them on the panel. And lastly, two of the biggest true crime.
Are you talking about yourself?
Yes, myself. I was there as well.
And then there's another big name.
The team behind I Think Not.
What?
Ellen and Joey. Yes.
Ellen was not on the panel.
Ellen was on my left the whole time.
That's amazing.
It was really, really amazing. Ellen and Joey, they have so much passion and compassion for people, and they just talk so much about how
if they happen to hear that, they can take that passion and compassion thing. I like that. You can have that for free.
we talked. So the topic of the panel was ethical storytelling and being mindful about the language that we use and using proper terminology for things, because we don't want to re-traumatize people. We don't want to stigmatize people. So that was basically the topic, was how there are a lot of phrases we use in American English that are either inherently violent idioms, like shoot you an email, I'll take a stab at it, or have come from some of the ugliest parts of American history and are rooted in racism, and that we should just erase from our vocabulary. You'd be surprised how many phrases, like what was the one we talked about? Cakewalk. Cakewalk has racist origins. Yeah. So those were, and then also when you talk about people, you want to be careful not to stigmatize them. So just kind of choosing, not describing where someone lives as like the ghetto, or calling someone an addict or other words for sex worker, those kinds of things we talked about, and just being respectful for families, because they're listening, and if you truly want to help them, you want to be respectful. So it's just an incredible panel. It came together beautifully. It was wonderful. I was so honored that Haley and Melissa and Whitney and Ellen and Joey all agreed to be a part of it. And like I said, I'll talk to Lainey again and we'll see if we can get that audio, because I really would love to share it with all of you.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
We could tag them, everybody in it.
Yeah.
They can share it.
Yeah. And then everyone can learn from it, because I think there's something for everyone in there, even if you're not a content creator.
Yep.
So, yeah. I mentioned Kendrick Lamar at one point.
You did.
I did.
Kendrick Lamar out there dropping truth bombs.
He is.
Musical truth bombs.
So, what do you want to talk about next?
The second one on our list, I want to leave till the end, because it was the final the session of the weekend, and so we'll talk about that in a minute. But we did go out with our with the TCPT folks, with the team behind True Crime Podcast Training. The website, by the way, is truecrimepodcasttraining.com. Just as a reminder, all written out. And we really recommend that if you're considering starting a podcast, or if you're just interested about how the process works.
Or if you want to do podcast research for other podcasts, because there are podcasts out there who can pay you, and they will pay you for your research. So, yeah.
So if you want to do that, you should definitely check it out. But we went with the alumni from the podcast training, which was awesome, and Haley and Andrea, on Andrea's 30th birthday.
Yes.
Should I say it was the 30th? Should we take that out in post?
Nah, it's all good.
Yeah. She's very young.
It was amazing. We kind of had an Am I the Asshole moment, because we were waiting for a table large enough to seat us all, and the people who had that largest table in the restaurant were taking their sweet time watching UFC fighting, and even though their plates had been cleared and their bill had been paid, they were just loitering there in the restaurant while we were standing there like salivating, waiting for them to leave.
Yeah, that was tough.
That was great. And then didn't it turn out that our server, she's a true crime fan?
She was, and they gave us free appetizers, which was nice.
Oh yeah, that was nice.
Yeah, so they made it right.
So shout out to the BJ's by the Denver Marriott.
Yeah.
I wish I knew exactly their address, but great staff, and it was a great dinner.
Yeah, it was good.
I talked about Melissa and Whitney. I kind of want to gush about them some more, because they are just incredible, and it was so great seeing them and spending time with them.
And then what other panels did we see? Let's talk about those.
We saw so many. The first one we saw was actually about a Netflix documentary that I watched the first episode of. I think there's like 3 episodes in the documentary. It's called The Program: Cons, Cults, and Kidnapping. And I watched the first one by myself, and I was like, I want John to watch this with me. So we got to see the panel with Ashley from That's So Fucked Up podcast, with 2 of the filmmakers because it was a documentary. So there was the filmmaker, Catherine, and then one of the women who, when she was a teenager, was actually a resident in the program. And the documentary is about, I guess, what I would call a reform school, but it was just a horrific tour torture device for teenagers who allegedly, couldn't go to regular school or were committing such horrible, heinous acts that they had to live in a prison like in repressive environment. It was awful. The youth who lived there were tortured, psychologically tortured. So it was great. I'm glad that Ashley had them on their panel, and you could learn more about what went into making the documentary and what the women's experience was when they were younger.
And it really was pretty messed up.
It was really scary.
I mean, I hadn't watched the documentary. I still haven't actually watched it, but I am going to do that. But what I heard, shook me that this actually existed. I had no idea.
Existed, and parents paid money for it.
Unbelievable.
It's terrifying. Well, and then we had our creator mixer. That was all Friday. But then to the keynote, Saturday morning, not a dry eye in the house. Sarah Turney talking about her sister Alyssa.
And if you haven't heard that story,
Voices for Justice, you have to listen to Sarah
go back to
tell
season
the story
1
herself.
She tells it over. She in the session, she told it very quickly. She hit all the main points.
Shared so much about her sister and her experience. Sarah, we love you. If you're listening, Sarah, we love you. You have our support. It was great getting to know you better and chat with you. So we can't wait to see you again actually, our next thing is Advocacy Con, which is coming up in Indianapolis in March. So we'll see you then, Sarah.
And if you're listening and you're not Sarah, on the off chance, then you should go listen to.
Sarah.
Most of you are not Sarah. I mean, maybe your name is Sarah, but you're not Sarah Turney, and that's okay too. And if that's the case, you should go listen to Sarah Turney's podcast and listen to the first season. Definitely an amazing listen, and you will not believe it.
Mm-hmm. The next thing we went to, I believe, was Arlene Harbison, Leon Laurelis's niece, and Bethany Vladek Hassel's sister, together with Haley Gray and Kristen Seavey from Murder, She Told. And they were just talking about the new project that they worked on together, where they made a guidebook for families and how to work with the media and podcasts when you are a victim of a horrific situation like Arlene and Bethany are. We shared Arlene's episode about Leon and her podcast, The Box in the Basement, on our feed that she does with her partner, Leah. And we've shared Vladek's story before, but you can always find out more if you search. Vladek has been missing for a few years now, and Bethany would love to get some leads and get some answers on that, just like Arlene would love to have answers about Leon. So this, again, was another very moving session, because there's no way to go to TCPF and not be moved by the stories shared by families and advocates.
Was the next one we went to the Laura Norton?
Yeah.
All right. So
yeah,
the next
that was
session,
also an awesome one. Go ahead.
Yeah, the next one we went to was with Laura Norton and Dr. Amy Michael, who I was too intimidated to talk to.
I know.
I was so intimidated. I kept seeing them, and I was like,
hello. We rode in the elevator with Dr. Amy, and I was like,
hey, you're also podcasters. You're a scientist.
Laura had a book come out, earlier this year called Lay Them to Rest. Which we have both read. It's an incredible piece of nonfiction about the story behind Ina Jane Doe and how she worked with Dr. Amy and other forensic scientists, forensic artists to help identify Ina Jane Doe. There's a ton of good stuff in there about the science behind all of that work.
So that was fascinating.
Yeah. So they were able to talk more about some of the techniques that are used in identifying unidentified decedents.
Yeah. That was really cool.
This is another one that I made a note that you went to that I didn't get to go to.
Oh, yes. The one about the Denver airport. That was so much fun. It was with Justin from Generation Y and John Lorden. That was really fun. I did not know what to expect. I had no idea what the deal was with the Denver airport before I went, but now I know.
This was an example of one of the paranormal type, right?
Yes.
Because some of the we lean towards the true crime side, but there are paranormal sessions as well. Lainey and Lisa made the decision to kind of split the podcast festival in half. So next year there's going to be a true crime version and there's going to be a paranormal version called Behind the Veil. So there'll be a separate paranormal one but this year. So this was one of the paranormal sessions about the Denver airport. What is one thing you remember from that?
So many things, but when the Denver airport was built, apparently they built this luggage moving system underneath it, and it was going to be just a very complex web of not moving sidewalks, little
conveyor belts.
The conveyor belts, right? And it was supposed to be a highly efficient way of getting luggage on and off of airplanes and what have you. And it was extremely expensive, incredibly expensive, and did not work at all, because it turns out that there are constantly changes and there are gate changes, and so it just wasn't something that was actually viable. But the tunnels are still there, so they will drive around the tunnels basically and move luggage around that way underneath the airport. But one of the conspiracies, not sure why, is that there are many levels underneath the Denver airport, that the Denver airport is a fallout shelter for rich people. So when
I thought you were gonna say hellmouth.
It might be a hellmouth too, but when it goes down, that the rich people are going to go there
immediately to the airport.
And they're going to go to the airport and live in this underground bunker.
Hey, okay.
Type thing.
Good luck to them.
Yeah. We wish them the best. And the other thing was if you look at the overhead shot of the airport, so the way the airport is designed, it's designed to accommodate a high volume of air traffic, as you might expect, even more so than Harry Reid is is high volume. But you're going to be coming from the north, the south, the east, or the west. So you can have 4 planes landing at any one time in Denver. One from the north, one from the south, one from the east, one from the west. So if you look at it from overhead and you kind of ignore some extra lines it looks a little like a swastika. So it looks sort of like
I see.
So but I'm with Justin, and what Justin said was I'm not sure what the conspiracy is here. I'm not sure if that's meant to convey to Nazi aliens that they should land here. This is the airport they should land at. It was not clear, but
interesting.
There are also I'm not sure this isn't really a conspiracy, but there were when we were walking around the airport leaving, did you notice the gargoyle?
I did notice there was a gargoyle.
So there's an east side gargoyle and a west side gargoyle, I guess. I'm not sure. Oh, and they are in luggage. It's like they popped out of luggage.
Yes, I did see that.
And at one point there was a talking gargoyle. I think I feel like we had the conversation about the talking gargoyle while we were walking around, and how the gargoyle used to talk to people, and now it doesn't really talk anymore. It just talks every twice an hour or something. It's like an animatronic.
Weird.
It's not a real talking gargoyle.
Why would they put that in the airport?
Yeah, it's just as you would say, it's not a real clown. It's just a person dressed as a clown.
It's not a real gargoyle.
It's just a person dressed as a gargoyle. So yeah, that was really fun. I really enjoyed that session.
That's awesome.
I missed this next one with Sarah Turney and Julie Murray.
You missed the first part of it when. So Sarah and Julie Murray did a session that was very specific to some of the online harassment they have faced over the years. And it's actually, I really enjoyed that session because I had seen Sarah and Julie at CrimeCon at Las Vegas in 2022. And I saw them. That's kind of when I realized how important ethical true crime is. And it never would have occurred to me that Sarah and Julie, who were dealing with such serious situations, would be subjected to such terrifying harassment just for basically existing and having bad luck.
And for being related to a missing person.
Two people who are missing. Yeah.
I do not understand that. I mean, I understand what's happening, but I
get a hobby.
Yeah.
Get a hobby, get a life, or as Julie would say, work on your empathy,
Yeah. So that one was really interesting.
Yeah. If you ever have the chance to hear Sarah or Julie talk, they're amazing speakers. They're so engaging, and they just open their heart out and they just share heart up and they just share so much out of their life.
So then the next one we went to, we were late for this one. The Many Faces of Lori Dan.
Yeah.
I did not know anything about
Me neither.
Lori or this case, but
it was Nina Instead from Already Gone and Gary Howard. Gary and Nina did a great job telling the story of Lori Dan, a young woman who seemingly went through some kind of, she started showing signs that she was having some kind of mental breakdown. She was really struggling, and the people in her life were either ignoring her symptoms or they didn't know how to help her. And it sadly had a tragic end.
Yes.
As many true crime stories do.
So Nina covered this in one of her episodes, and we highly recommend you listen to it.
Yeah.
It's a terrifying story that happened in 1988. There's a school shooting, a fire. It's called the Life and Rampage of Lori Dan. So check it out. And we're not going to spoil it for you.
All right. I know you loved this session with Defense Diaries.
Oh my God. I had a really good time in this one. I didn't really know anything about the Karen Reed trial.
I only knew a tiny bit.
I mean, I knew a little bit about it. I kind of knew the broad strokes, but I was not really following. We have a neighbor, actually, who was following it, who's been dying to talk to me about it.
Yeah.
Because she knows we have a podcast. She's one of our subscribers.
Yeah, she's incredible.
And she's awesome. Maybe she's listening to this.
Oh, maybe.
So I didn't really know much about it, but I certainly learned. Bob Mata and Allison really took everybody to school about that case. That was fantastic. I thought that was so interesting.
Yeah, and it's so great seeing them together to debate things.
Yeah, they're so good at that.
Yeah.
I love how
really
he'll be
smart.
Talking and she'll jump in on him and be like, actually, that's not right.
Yeah.
It's so much fun to watch.
They're so smart. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was great. Yeah. We talked about the Karen Reed trial. What else?
Do you want the big showstopper?
Oh my God. So the final session of the festival was called I'll Take the Stairs with Ellen and Tara.
Yes. And if any true crime fans out there know what happened with Ellen and Tara.
More like if any true crime fans out there don't know what happened between Ellen and Tara at Obsessed Fest, I want to say 2023?
Yeah, I believe it might have been early 2024. It might have been in the spring.
Oh, maybe.
But if
you don't
positive.
know, I hesitate to say Google it because you're going to get a really... No, don't Google it. Yeah, don't Google it. How are they going to know if they don't?
I don't know. You can Google it, but I would say take anything you read with a grain of salt.
A huge grain of salt.
Because what Ellen and Tara did was basically dispel any and all rumors about what happened. They came clean. They took accountability for things they had made. They explained how they became friends because of what happened. And it was
awesome.
Beautiful. It was
inspiring.
So moving, inspiring. It was so much about not holding grudges, not making shit up about another person's motives and just like coming to someone and saying like, do you have a problem? How can we solve this problem? I want to fix this. How do we fix this? And you guys, they fucking fixed it.
Yeah.
And they were there together to tell the story and to dance and embrace each other. And it was just incredible. And Joey was there too.
Who always amazing.
Yes.
One of the things I thought was really cool about that was that they talked about how other people that were involved,
yes,
who shall obviously remain nameless, kind of fanned the flames, and made it so much worse.
Yeah.
But it was really interesting to find out from both of them, like from both sides, how it was just like a comedy of errors.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not a comedy because it was pretty, it got to be pretty hurtful and scary. But it was like a Three's Company episode. It was just a lot of cross signals and just it. But I'm so glad they squashed it.
Yeah.
They were so
and
cool.
Some other people in the true crime community like helped them talk through it. And it's just so great to know what can be, right?
Yeah. Take men out of the equation and see what happens.
They'll spend an hour talking about the Denver airport. We had a kind of a funny moment with Julie and Brooke. It was a Saturday. We left to get lunch and we had rented a car. So we left the hotel and we were driving down the sidewalk and we
weren't driving down the sidewalk. To be clear, I'm a very good driver. So I'm driving across the grass.
Listen.
So I pull the car into
the curb.
So I jump the curb.
No, we were driving down the street
on the correct side.
On the correct side of the street. And walking down the sidewalk, we see two of the participants from the festival, Julie Murray and Brooke. And I didn't really know Brooke. Like I recognized her, but
she's a friend of Sarah Turney's.
Yes,
right?
I didn't really know her. And I knew Julie, like I said, by reputation and because I've been in her sessions before. And so we pulled over and I rolled down the window and I asked them if they wanted a ride to where we were going for lunch. And they accepted.
They were like, yeah, why not?
And I said, get in, losers. We're going to Target. Like,
and it was legitimately I don't know. It was like a 3-minute drive.
Ride. It was really short.
It was silly, but it was also 100 degrees and humid.
Yeah, it was
warm. It wasn't
out.
Too humid, but it was hot.
And so you and I went and got lunch and they went over to Target, but I didn't have any, it's not like we had each other's contact info.
Yeah, we didn't coordinate
the return trip. So we got stuck at the sandwich place for a while waiting for our order. And I just, because it was like time for the sessions to start up again, I kind of assumed they either walked back or figured something out, maybe got a ride back with another two randos and who knows?
Hopefully not.
Well, no, you know what I mean? Like not randos, but people like us. And, we got back and then a couple hours later we were able to run into Brooke and I said, hey, I'm sorry that we didn't give you a ride back. And when I was talking to Brooke, she said, I said, and I realized that it was kind of strange, that I don't really know you. And I kind of pulled over and offered you a ride and you took the ride. And she said, well, yeah, Julie. So I knew it was okay. It's like, I don't really know Julie.
We were like, I guess we do.
I know who she is.
We know who she is and we think she's amazing.
Yes, so it was just kind of funny to think that like I think each other may have assumed we were fine to take a ride from, and
which we were. To be clear,
we were, but it still was kind of like a funny moment.
But I was also like, never take a ride from a stranger again. Oh my God.
And when I told Julie this story later at the VIP mixer, and I mentioned, that I said to Brooke, yeah, of course I know Julie, but it's not like we're besties. When Julie said, we're not, like, I just.
You were like, I remember I saw you afterwards and we were like, we are now.
We are now, right? Yeah. It probably one of my favorite memories from the whole weekend because it was just so silly and yeah, it was awesome. And it was kind of cool to like get to know new people that we never met before, but it was also awesome to see some of the people that we'd seen last year or that we worked together with that we hadn't really spent a lot of time with since, because we live here, they live there. Like our buddies Kenna and Coel from Diagnosing a Killer.
They're amazing.
They are amazing, and it was so cool spending so much time with them.
I wish our table had been closer to them.
Yes, maybe we should we
have to lobby for that
next year.
Who cares?
Yeah. Kenna and Coel were definitely some of the first people we talked about when we were like, hey, maybe we think we want to do a podcast. And they gave us so much guidance.
And they were like, you should totally do it.
Yeah. So much support. It was awesome. I include Eric Carter Landine in that as well as being one of the people who we talked to who really encouraged us along the way.
Yeah. And of course, PNW, Haunts and Homicides.
Oh my gosh, we missed not having them there this
They
year.
weren't there.
And we were hoping to get to meet Jake and Jamie from Strictly Stalking. Neither of them were there, which was a bummer, but there's always next year.
But we did meet Jen and her dog Freya.
Yes. Anyone who was at the festival saw the little dog Freya with her pink tail.
Oh my God.
Walking around. What a cutie.
Cute.
And that was such a treat. It's so nice to have dogs around especially when you're, hearing some awful stuff and, working through some difficult sessions.
Sometimes you just need some dog time.
A little dog time. So yeah, that was awesome. I'm not sure if I have any final thoughts.
We are very excited for the next one.
Yeah.
We're trying to think of what we should do for our session.
Yes. If anyone has any ideas for what you think if Sins and Survivors were to do a session in Boston, what would it be about?
Because we don't know.
Yeah. We will likely figure something out, but we are also open to suggestions and partnerships because we are always open to suggestions and partnerships. Speaking of suggestions and partnerships, I didn't even mention Natalie from the Murder Diaries, and we spent so much time with Natalie and
What
Tim.
is wrong with us?
I know.
I was going to say what is wrong with you, but that felt very accusatory. What is wrong with us?
I know. Natalie, it was so awesome meeting you and spending time with your husband, Tim, and I'm sad that Paige wasn't there and we didn't get to meet her as well, but hopefully next time.
Next time.
Because there's always going to be a next time.
That's right.
We are planning to spend more time with Tara as well, which is awesome, coming up here
We didn't really
soon.
talk about Tara.
Well, we talked about her in the
Oh, that's true.
in her session she did with Ellen, but Tara was right there during my panel, and definitely her podcasting course was the inspiration for me pitching that idea for that panel. So we love Tara.
And you should definitely do her podcasting course as well.
Yes, if you're
She's doing
thinking
it
about
again.
that. Yes, or listen to her show, the Baddie Club.
And
Tara's
why
Baddie
not
Club.
both?
Do it all.
Do it all. Look up all these people that we've talked about.
I know.
Listen to all their podcasts.
Learn their stories, share their stories.
That's right.
There's so many that we left out. We already know we did. So
if we did, we
we
apologize.
apologize.
I think that's all we have for today.
But
We had a great time.
we had a great
We're
time.
so excited for the next one.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to this. We do appreciate you.
Yeah, let us know what you think. Was this too rambly? It's going to take me so long to edit this. I'm going to edit it down to 3 minutes.
Do you want to say the thing?
Is it appropriate to say the thing? I'm going to say the thing. What happens here happens everywhere.
Even Boston.
Especially Boston.
Thanks for listening. Visit sinspod.co/subscribe for exclusive bonus content and to listen ad-free. Remember to like and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Threads at Sins and Survivors. If you're enjoying the podcast, please leave us a review on your podcast platform of choice. You can contact us at questions@sinsandsurvivors.com.
If you or someone you know is affected by domestic violence or needs support, please reach out to local resources or the National Domestic Violence Hotline. A list of resources is available on our website, sinsandsurvivors.com. Sins and Survivors, a Las Vegas true crime podcast, is researched, written, and produced by your hosts, Sean and John. The information shared in this podcast is accurate at the time of recording. If you have questions, concerns, or corrections, please email us. Links to source material for this episode can be found on our website, sinsandsurvivors.com.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of the podcast creators, hosts, and their guests. All individuals are innocent until proven guilty. This content does not constitute legal advice. Listeners are encouraged to consult with legal professionals for guidance.